Hey everybody, it's another great episode of the show. And I gotta tell you, I'm in a mood. I'm kind of in a bad mood. I don't know. I don't know why. I was doing my game stream and the game stream wasn't going real well. I was doing poorly at the game and so I got frustrated and I don't know, I got unreasonably angry about it. Unreasonably so. And I can recognize that about myself. I get angry sometimes in ways that I probably shouldn't, in ways that are not necessary. But this was one of those times where I got mad for no particular reason. So yeah, it's put me into a bit of a mood. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. But we're going to try to work through it. We're going to have a fun show. It's me, of course, your good buddy Spider. You know me. Your old buddy Spider from back in the day doing this thing. And yeah, I don't actually have a concrete topic to talk about tonight. I have a few things that I wanted to bring up just because it's one of those in between kind of times where I've got a lot of stuff going on, but I don't have specific things that I need to talk about necessarily. I've got a lot of things that I've done behind the scenes, and I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit of that tonight for you. As of this recording, yesterday was St. Patrick's Day 2025. Now, I don't go out. I don't go bar hop. I meant to say bar hopping, but I mixed that with bar crawling, because I was going to say bar hopping and bar crawling. So that was bar hopping. That's what happens when my brain tries to combine two thoughts at once. I don't go out for St. Patrick's Day, or for anything on a regular basis. I just don't do that. It's not my thing. I like to have a drink at home, which I'm doing right now, by the way. Let me take care of that. Good stuff. And, so I don't have, like, a big story of, like, going out and debauchery and whatnot. I stayed home. I played Gaelic Storm, which is a band, an Irish band. Well, they're not, most of them aren't Irish. Most of them probably have Irish heritage, but most of them are Americans. And they play traditional Irish music and things. Because that's doing them a real service talking about them that way. But they're good people. They're my daughter's favorite band. She's 10, and she's seen them 3-4 times, maybe more, maybe 5 times, at least 4, maybe 5. She's gotten autographs from all of them. She's talked to them. She's met them. So I played their music all day for her, because she's big into the holiday stuff. You folks know, I'm not a holiday person. I don't do the whole big put up a tree, get out the Easter baskets. I don't do that kind of stuff. But my daughter likes to do certain things, and since on her mom's side she has a good portion of DNA and genetics coming from Ireland, she likes to do St. Patrick's Day stuff. So, and since she's obviously 10 years old and she's not going to be drinking the green beer anytime soon, not in this household anyway, we don't do that. But we do usually have a big meal and we listen to music. And that's what we did this year. Had the music on all day. And I made a big, basically an Irish breakfast. We had bacon, we had sausage, we had mushrooms. I didn't get tomatoes. I should have got tomatoes, and I feel like I don't know, I missed out on that. We had hash browns, we had eggs, we had beans, the whole thing, everything. So we did that. And then after she went to bed, me and her mom had a bottle of Paddy's, which is Irish whiskey. And we played grown-up games involving the bottle of alcohol. And I'll let you use your imagination for how all that turned out. The bottle is empty, by the way. It was freshly opened yesterday, and it was empty yesterday. And she is super sick today. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm still feeling pretty good. My tolerance is pretty high, so I'm doing okay. Usually I don't get too wild with the drinking and things, because I'm not fond of just being absolutely, completely plastered. It's not fun for me. I like to get a little bit of a good buzz going and then, enjoy myself. I don't need to have that to have a good time, but I like it. It's my choice. It's my prerogative, She does not drink like I do. So she's feeling it today. And she'll probably be feeling it tomorrow. That's okay. So that's what we did for St. Patrick's Day. We didn't make a big deal out of it. We didn't do a whole lot. We just had a good dinner at home. I did the cooking because she was at work all day. And she got home and it was already done. So I cooked all that up. Took a while. And that was that. That was St. Patrick's Day 2025 here at the Spider household. What about you? What did you folks do? Did you do anything crazy? Like, you don't have to. Nobody has to do anything crazy on holidays. But if you did, by all means, tell me all about it. Leave a comment or send an email to the new email. Here it comes. official.ltatm@gmail.com. Why is that the new email? Because of the new website. And I gotta talk to you guys about this, because this will be the first time you will have heard about it on the show, as opposed to all of my social media and everything else that I put out. I have a new website. It's ltatm.net. You got it? ltatm.net. Now, savvy, perceptive listeners might ask, Spider, that sounds a lot like that old radio show that you used to be a part of. That radio show that fell apart, not through any fault of your own, but because the host was crazy. And rumor is that they still use those letters for their new whatever venture that they're doing. Sure, I'm sure they do. Whatever they're doing doesn't matter. What I'm doing is different. What I'm doing is, let's talk about the madness. See what I did there? The madness. Because everything that I do all together, you've got to have a little bit of madness to try to combine everything that I do into one cohesive whole, which is the gaming and the spirits videos and the food reviews and the podcasts and everything. But I've done it. I've combined it. I've combined it all in one piece. How's that sound for you? No, I'm not going to get sued from that. I'm not saying. It's in one place, not One Piece. One Piece is an anime that I don't watch that has grotesquely long-legged women. It's just weird. It's weirdly animated. Anyway, let's talk about the madness. ltatm.net is the new website for everything that I do. It has this, which is Spider Does Things, the show. It contains all of my game video streams. It links them right there so you can watch them all on the website. It has This Uncanny Earth. I just finished updating it today, actually, as of this recording, with playlists of This Uncanny Earth, Stephen the Intern's show, Intern's Oddities from Around the World, and my mini-series, The Saturday Spiritualist. Sorry, I had to make sure a cat wasn't going to poop on the carpet over here, because he's old. He's real old, and he's kind of like, I don't care. I'm just going to, if I can't make it down to the letterbox, I'm just going to poop right here. So I'm going to have to send him to the basement. Hold on one second. Come here, buddy. Let's get you over there, huh? Let's get you over there, huh? There you go. There you go. Let me walk back to the microphone now. Back to the microphone. Because there are litter boxes in the basement. The door's open. They can go up and down as they see fit. He's just old and grouchy, and he doesn't feel like he needs to follow the rules. Anyway. Yeah. LTATM.net. I've condensed everything there. There's a page for everything. I also reactivated my old Patreon. Again, I know this is probably the third time. But this time I've made it free. That's right. I've made my Patreon free. There is a paid option, but it's not... It's only if you feel like donating a monthly amount. You know, it's not... You will get access to all of the content at the free level. You don't have to pay for any of it. The paid option is only if you want to go that extra mile, which I would really appreciate, but I'm not going to beg for it. I'm not going to tell you that you should do that. That's only there as an option for you. In the meantime, there's the free option, which gets you a few extra things that you don't get on most of my other normal channels. I know this sounds like a sales pitch. It's not. I'm just telling you what's out there, what's available. It's free, so I can't be selling it to you, right? But there's a few videos on there that you won't get anyplace else, and that'll continue as time goes on. You'll get some things there that are exclusive to the Patreon, but it's free. So you can join. It's called the LTATM community. Let's talk about the madness community. If you're listening to me here, you're already a part of that, whether you like it or not. But it's free, so who cares? Like, why would it matter? So you just go there, you just sign up. It doesn't cost you anything. It's the Patreon. You can find it on ltatm.net. And anybody else who uses those words, those letters, LTATM, for their own personal business, who cares? They're lagging behind. They're not doing as well as I am. They're complaining about it. They're charging people much more than I am, which is nothing, by the way. I'm not charging you anything, and they are charging you something, which is much more. And they're upset because they're not successful. So I'm going to raise a drink to them. There's that. But that's the new hub for everything that's gone on or going on from a professional perspective. So I'd really appreciate it if you check that out, ltatm.net. I want to give a special shout out, actually, because one of the other things that is attached to that website is my involvement with the local record label, Big Buff Records, which is it's the label that I signed on as in a leadership function last year, last February actually, and it's growing. It's growing in fits and starts. It's not easy to do something like this, and that's one of the reasons why I was brought in, because they were looking for some outside perspectives. They wanted to grow in different directions, and I've kind of, when I first jumped in, I kind of tried to push things really quickly, and I found out that wasn't really going to work very well. So I'm now pushing things kind of slowly behind the scenes in a way that's going to do long-term growth rather than short-term sudden surprises and expectations, if that makes sense. But as far as Big Buff Records goes, one of our roster members, his name is Seth, Seath, Seth. He recently went to California to audition for America's Got Talent. Now, it's not something that I would really be super interested in, because I'm not, I have that old school punk DIY kind of like anger kind of complex that I wouldn't be a good fit for something like that. But he does. He's on a different path than I am, and so I support him in that. He's part of the label. I'm not going to tell him he's wasting his time or anything like that, because obviously the reason I can't possibly tell him that is because he's actually advanced to the next round. He passed the audition. He's moving forward. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for him. I am stoked to see him get some sort of headway on the path to success. I've given him some different advice in the past, and some of it he's followed and some of it he hasn't. And you know what? I can't say that I'm perfect. I can't say that I'm right at everything. I am right at a lot of things, by the way, but not absolutely everything. But I am right most of the time. Anyway, shameless plug. But it is good to see people on the label succeeding in ways that they want to succeed, and I'm glad he's moving forward. So he's moving on to the next round, and I hope he's still able to do the event that we have coming up. I want to talk about this. We have an event. It's at the Vortex in Akron, Ohio. It's on May 10th of 2025. So if you're listening to this before that time, there is still time to get there. Okay. If you're listening afterwards, then I guess you missed it. Because syndication, and who knows, because these podcast episodes are all on demand, so you could be listening in 2027, and this was 2 years ago. But anyway, considering that today is in March, and it's in May, a couple of months away, we're hosting Goth Night at the Vortex. It's a Big Buff Records presentation. Everybody can dress up in their favorite fashions from the 90s and 2000s, because that's when really the goth thing took off, as far as like when I witnessed it. I know it's been around since the 80s and a while, but it became a cultural phenomenon in the 90s. Right after the grunge era started kind of fading off, you started getting into the alternative, into the scene kids, and the scene kids and the goth thing kind of coincided. The scene kids, I guess, were more 2000, but still, it was very similar. There was a lot of blurred lines in that area. But we're hosting a goth night at the Vortex in Akron, Ohio on May 10th. And Seth is going to be there. He's going to be one of my openers. He's going to open with The Come Up. He's another excellent person on the roster. The two of them are going to open the show. followed by Adonis Boyd, who has got quite a following in this area. Actually, he's kind of exploded on the local scene. The Vortex has had him there multiple times, so I'm expecting him to be a good draw. You're gonna have a headliner, Berserk. Berserk is a great band. They remind me in some songs of Faith No More. One of the dudes that I've been in contact with, he sounds like Chuck Mosley. Like, it's great. It's pretty good. They have an original track that sounds like a Faith No More track, and it's just, I can't get over it. So it's good stuff. They're the headliner. But you also have a special performance by little old me under my Spider in the Hall project name, between Adonis Boyd and the headliner Berserk. And I'm going to do an hour of music for you. A whole hour. Isn't that great? Like, when was the last time you could go to a local show around here and get an hour of me? It's been a while, hasn't it? It's probably been never. Most of the time I have 30-minute sets. Most of the time. But I don't play out that often. Stage performances for me are so rare because, for one thing, I'm old. I might not sound it, but I'm old. I don't have the stamina to hack it with these kids no more. I don't. It takes a lot of work to build up to a show for me. That, and I got so frustrated with nobody showing up to shows, whether I was the headliner or not. Like, whether I put on the show, it didn't matter. I got so irritated with playing shows where there was like hardly anybody there because promotion wasn't good, and my music is very niche, I guess you could say, depending on how you want to accent that. And it appeals to a very specific kind of crowd of people, and I understand that. That's not what I'm upset about. It's just putting in a lot of work and a lot of money for not a lot of interest. You know what I mean? And I've been doing this. I have been making music for 26 years. That is a heck of a long time to be a part of the process and not make it. You know what I mean? At this point, I'm not going to. And I'm okay with that. I'm not saying that as a way like, oh, I feel so sad, I'm not going to make it. It's just how it is. Like, if I haven't broken in to fame and fortune by now with that, then I'm just not going to. And that's okay. You got to face reality sometimes. It's one thing to just fight against the tide forever. It's another thing to acknowledge, okay, this is just not going to work out for me. But I'm still occasionally doing a stage show. And I will be May 10th. That's me slapping my phone against my leg. May 10th, 2025 at the Vortex in Akron. Spider in the Hall. Who knows? It might be the last time you ever see me live on stage. I don't know. I don't know how many shows I have left in me. I might not have very many. I don't know. I have no idea. But that's what I'm doing. And that's what's current right now. Now, with all that being said, what else do we have to talk about? We're only 25 minutes in, so we do have to talk about some more. And there's a lot of politics and stuff going on right now. I don't know. I don't know how much of it I want to talk about because a lot of it is Trump this and Russia that and Ukraine that, and I'm not really interested. I'm not one of these people who wants to just hold on. I got a sneeze coming on. Got another one, I think. Hold on. Maybe not, just the one. Um, I'm not somebody who's just going to sit around and be like, "Look at all this great stuff that Trump is doing." Trump, 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 Trump. I'm not going to do that. But I'm also not one of those people who's going to sit around and be like, "We got to do everything we can to resist and fight back against the Trump and this and that." Because I don't think any of that is point. I don't think there's a point to any of that. I don't think. And I'm not at all interested in the Ukraine. I'm going to get people who are going to be mad about that, and I get it. I get it. People are going to be saying, well, why don't you support Ukraine? Why don't you do this? Why don't you that? Because that's a lot more complicated of an issue. That does not mean that I support Russia or I support whatever's going on right now over there. Because that's the other thing people are going to do. People are going to instantly be like, well, if you don't support Ukraine, you must support Russia and their aggression and blah, 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 blah. I don't. I'm not for the conflict or the war or however you want to describe it. The fight, the battle, the disagreement. I don't know how polite you want to make it. I don't have a side in that because I think all the sides are at fault. I think Russia, the Ukraine, and the United States are all just as much at fault for what's happening. I don't think that Russia is 100%, oh yeah, instantly you are the only bad guy, you are the people that are obviously in the wrong, you're whatever. I'm not saying they're in the right. I'm just saying they're not. You can't just look at it and be like, well, obviously Ukraine is so much smaller than Russia, so Ukraine is obviously correct and whatever, and Russia is just whatever. I don't believe that. My honest opinion is that the United States has made the entire situation worse. It's the fact that the United States and other European countries have meddled in the Ukraine against Russia that have caused the issues. I don't think Russia would have invaded if other third parties hadn't been sticking their fingers in the pie. Okay? So, and people are going to be mad about that, but whatever. You know, there's nothing you can say about it that people won't be mad about at this point, I think. But that's how I feel about it. I've watched it pretty close. And that's not to mean I haven't just watched mainstream media, and I don't watch the Daily Wire. I don't watch Newsmax. I don't watch, what is it, One USA or whatever it is, OAN. I don't watch on a regular basis any of the partisan news outlets. I look at a lot of different places and I collate that data and I compare it to each other and I try to find who's the closest to the facts. And it's difficult. Because between the mainstream news and the opposite end of the spectrum, which is the YouTube people and the investigative journalists who are independent and whatnot, they have all their own agendas as well. Okay? Almost nobody is neutral. in presenting the news anymore. And that's really difficult. When I was a kid in the late 80s, early 90s, when you watched the news would be really boring. Because it wasn't about ratings. It wasn't about panels. It wasn't about opinions. It was two people, usually a man and a woman, back and forth, presenting what happened in a day. Like if they were talking about, today 6,000 people demonstrated in Iran for this particular reason, and they would go into it and they would interview people there at the spot, and that was it. And then you decided, okay, well, if I'm for the people of Iran or if I'm not, whatever. Now, they go from something like that and they go, let's talk to our panel of experts. What do you think? Brian something or other says, well, I think that the people of Iran are full of it. I think that well, I don't think that any of that is correct because blah, 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 says Jason Argonaut of the whatever. And Susan such and such says, well, I think they're both missing the point in that Iran, blah, 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 blah. And, none of that matters. None of that is important to what the news story is. You know what I mean? That's why I don't watch the news anymore, because it's all people's opinions on things. I don't care what your opinion is on the news. I care about what the news is. I've said this before, and I'll probably keep saying it. It's probably going to be a point that I'm going to have to keep making. I don't know. Pardon me. But the long story short is that the Ukraine situation is a lot more involved and difficult than what we've been presented. We don't know all the ins and outs about it, and we can't just... I cannot just make a flat-out statement like, I stand with Ukraine because of whatever. Why? Right? Because you don't really know. You just see them as, oh, they're the victim, they're this or that, and maybe they are, but there's a lot more complicated things involved in that before you get to that point. It's a lot like the stuff in the Middle East. Like, the Middle East is so complicated, and we shouldn't even be involved in that. I get it that people assume that since we're a world superpower, that we should be out there stopping other parts of the world from murdering each other. I get that. But how do we know who's right and who's wrong? We make a decision, and then our news outlets present it as this is the people that we need to help, and this is why we're sympathetic, and blah, blah, blah. With Syria is a good example. Okay, Syria had a long-running conflict because a particular family line had a dictatorship that kept the country stable, but in a brutal fashion. Like, the country was stable for a while, but only because they went out of their way to silence people who spoke against them and different things. It was a really heavily enforced stability. Now, that regime has fallen. The rebels have taken control. And now stories have come out that their forces on the new conquering side have gone out on revenge killings against the people who may be identified with the former ruling party. And that's not how you get goodwill on the international stage. You're supposed to come in and be like, we're liberating the people, we're fighting back against tyranny. Okay, well, you've liberated the people because you've won the country. You're in charge now. But instead of holding trials and punishing people legally who might have been on the other side, who might have done atrocities. You're going on revenge killings in the street, like village by village, city by city, town by town. Gunfire in the street, just gunning down people who were on the opposite side. That's just as bad as what was there before. And we're supporting that. Like, come on. I'm not supporting that. I don't. And all of the Middle East is like that. The whole thing with Israel and Palestine, like, there's no winners there. Those two groups of people have hated each other for so long that nothing's going to change that until one side is completely wiped out. And I'm not saying that one side should be wiped out, because it shouldn't. There's no way to end that anymore. You can't finish that peacefully. If they want to do that to each other, at this point, you have to take your hands off and just be like, okay, you do what you want. We tried to broker peace. Neither side is interested. It's not has anything to do with us as a country. You know, is that callous? Sure. But you can't force people to do better. Otherwise, you're just as bad as they are. What are we going to do? Are we going to go over there with nukes and things and be like, all right, the two of you are going to stop fighting right now, or we're just going to blow up everybody? That makes us just as bad as them. And it's like that all across the world. Like, the United States sticks its face into places where the United States should focus on the United States. We should focus on right here. And maybe our immediate neighbors, Canada and Mexico, and that's it. Work on having good relationships with them and not worry about everybody else. Right? That's what I think. I don't know. That was a heck of a rant. I know, people are going to be mad. People are mad at whatever I say anymore these days, and I get it. I get it, but that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel about it. I don't know. That's not a real song. What's going on in the rest of the world today as far as, let's say, entertainment? Let's talk about Disney for a minute. Disney's in a weird place. Like, people will talk about how Disney is failing, or Disney is making money, or Disney is this. I don't have any access. I don't have any hard facts about their finances, because I don't know. They keep putting out entertainment that fails. And there's a lot of reasons why. The latest big thing that's not working out is the Snow White live action movie. And I know when I say this, people are going to say, they're going to instantly jump to some kind of racist whatever, and I don't. The entire story of Snow White, as far as her as a character, is that her name came from the color of her skin. Okay? That wasn't meant to be racist. It was meant to be a character description. Okay? In other novels from farther along that weren't adapted into the Disney things, when they talked about people with dark skin, they would sometimes say, so and so had skin the color of cinnamon, so and so had skin the color of darkness, and things like that. Because that's how they wanted you to envision people in their mind. And they didn't mean it to be racist, they meant it to be descriptive. So when you say Snow White, it's particularly a very particular pale skin. I have super pale skin. I'm super pale because I don't go outside that often. I do go out now because it's warm, but I have long sleeves on, and I don't get tanned because I don't like to tan. So I have really pale skin because I don't like to tan. Okay, so I'm Snow White. I'm literally Snow White sitting here right now. So they cast what is she, Latino is what it is? I've seen a lot of different descriptions for the person, and I don't want to make a hard and fast like this is what she is, because I haven't paid that close of attention, and I'm probably going to be wrong. But she does not have Snow White skin. Now, you can say, well, it's 2025. We should cast whoever we want in certain roles, if that's what we want, and be more inclusive. And I get that, and that's fine. If the character is called Snow White because of the color of their skin, why would you not cast a person who is nearly an albino in that role? Because that's the character. If the character was called Hazelnut Brown, you would cast a person with that skin tone, wouldn't you? You would not cast a person with pale, translucent skin. That would be not in keeping with the character, right? But whatever. Let's move on from that, because in the end, it doesn't really matter. They also, they originally had put in, and this is what kind of, I don't know how this ended up the way it did, but they put in for the dwarves, they weren't dwarves, they were a collection of people that were somewhat short, but not people who had the condition of being, I don't even know what the correct way of saying it. When I was younger, we used terms like midget or little people, and I understand that nowadays is not, it's not correct, and I don't know what the correct term is, to be fair. So I don't want to seem insensitive. I just don't know what the term is, and it's been difficult to find out. But people of smaller stature, I'm going to say, and I hope that's not going to offend too many people. They had a collection of people who were somewhat shorter of stature, but weren't specifically inflicted with the condition that's dwarfism, right? And that didn't work well with the focus groups. So what they did was they have CGI dwarves. Now that made people angry who were of the dwarfish description, I guess you could say. Again, not trying to offend anybody. I don't know what the term is. Please let me know what the term is. But now they're angry because there's plenty of people of smaller stature in the entertainment industry who could have had those roles. It's 7 dwarves, so it's 7 roles. And they didn't, because now they're all CGI. That, and they changed some fundamental parts of the plot to be more modern, to be less cringy, I guess. I don't know. And it's failing at the box office, which, isn't always an indicator of whether a movie is good or not. I like some movies that are probably not box office hits. And I don't care if they are or not. That's not what makes me go see a movie. It's if I'm interested in it. But this looks kind of like they just chopped it up and they messed it up and they don't know what they're doing. The Mufasa movie, the live-action Lion King prequel, they essentially established that Scar was right. He is the rightful king. That Mufasa was adopted. That it completely changes the movie The Lion King if you watch it. Oh, I don't know, Disney. What are you doing? Now, I did watch the trailer for the new Lilo and Stitch because other people in my household are really into the original cartoon. And that looks like they did make an effort to keep that authentic. It looks like it might be a good movie. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't know. I'm not into the way that Disney, modern Disney, has made live-action versions of their cartoons. I'm not into most of the live-action versions that they've done. So, I don't know. It might sour on me, but so far it looks like it's pretty close to the... It's pretty close. It's not exact, but it's pretty close to the way that the cartoon was. So it might be good. My daughter is going to be really interested in watching Moana 2 tomorrow, because Moana she was really into. And I think the second one's probably going to be pretty good. I haven't looked at it too close because I haven't wanted to spoil it. But it's going to hit streaming. It's hit streaming now. We're going to watch it tomorrow as of this broadcast. And I think she's going to be happy with it. But that's Disney. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. In other news, coming up soon, and on March 28th, is the Microsoft Spring Sale. What is the Microsoft Spring Sale, you might ask? Well, it's not something that I'm sponsored by or that I've been paid to talk about, by the way. So I just want to get that clear. I'm talking about it because I like it, because it's the biggest sale of the year. It's always better than the Christmas sales. It's better than the Black Friday sales. It's arguably the best time to buy games if you're a Microsoft Xbox or PC player, is during the spring sale. And it's going to be between March 28th and April 4th. I'm probably going to end up buying something. I don't know. I don't know what's upcoming. We'll see what happens. But I'm sure there's going to be something that I'm going to be interested in and I'm going to pick up. But if you're looking forward to some discounts on the Xbox platform or through Microsoft on PC, then the spring sale, March 28th, 2025, is when that starts. Again, I have not been paid to say that. I have not been sponsored by Microsoft or anything of that nature. It's just I'm interested because I usually take advantage of those discounts every year. And that's getting towards the end, really. Like, I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have a very specific set of topics I wanted to talk about tonight. I thought it was time to catch up a little bit. Tell you about my St. Patrick's Day and talk about a few things and just, keep you guys in mind of what's upcoming. Especially with the website ltatm.net. That's a big sticking point right now, so make sure you go check that out. It's very important. I don't want to rehash it too hard. But that's the big thing that I've been working on right now. Plus the event in May 10th, 2025, Goth Night at the Vortex. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you do too. Tickets are available from any of the bands on the bill. $10 a piece. You can get in touch with me or with any of the other people, which is The Come Up, Seth, Adonis Boyd, or Berserk. Of course, I'm the other person on the bill. Berserk is B-U-R-Z-U-R-K, by the way. B-U-R-Z-U-R-K. Berserk. Follow them on Facebook, please. And that's about it. That's all I have for you. I'm going to get off here and probably play some games and then go to bed. Maybe eat some food. I don't know. Hopefully your St. Patrick's Day was good. You're not nursing too bad of a hangover. Obviously, I'm getting tired here. Don't forget to go to the ltatm.net website. Check out the Patreon as well. The LTATM community. It's free. No paywalls. No grifting. No tiers. No nothing. Everything's free. Unless you want to pay. In which case there is an option to pay. But everything else is free. Like, I'm not going to ever charge you for all of the content. At this point, I'm not going to do that. Because that's how I am. Other people, under the LTATM moniker, are going to charge you ridiculous prices for things. You just wait. I'm waiting. The popcorn is cooking, and I'm just waiting to see what the big thing is going to be. For some other folks who want to talk about the music. Because I know them. And they never change. They still do the same thing. They still charge the same money. And they're still trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Unlike your good buddy Spider, me. And I'll talk to you folks next time. Have a good night.